Chinese troops are pressing their crackdown on demonstrators in Tibet, where violent anti-China protests have been escalating for days. The death toll varies widely, with the official number put at 16, but exiled Tibetan leaders say it's at least 80. Reporters are being kept far from the uprising in Tibet's capital of Lhasa. ABC's Stephanie Tsai is following the crisis from Chengdu.
Today on the long road to Tibet, we saw hundreds of army vehicles, including rented tour buses packed with armed soldiers.
Where do you think they're going?
I think they are going to like Kanding, maybe going to Tibet. This is really getting serious.
Even before tonight's deadline passed for protesters to turn themselves in, there were deadly clashes. ABC News was conducting an interview with this monk in India today when he received a call from a Tibetan monastery in China. The police are beating 70 people, says the caller. One policeman just hit a monk's head with a baton. Just now 2 people were killed, he says. I saw it right in front of me. A photograph released today at the same Tibetan monastery shows 8 people lying dead after a police crackdown.
If the crowd goes out of control, then they shoot indiscriminately.
Here in Chengdu, in an area heavily populated by Tibetans, there are security everywhere, armed police as well as troops. They are clearly trying to make sure that trouble does not start in this Tibetan community.
What we've learned from the pandemics of influenza, they move a lot faster. They're all over the world, almost instantaneously.
With influenza, a person can be contagious for up to 4 days before symptoms appear and they even know they're sick.
People are on airplanes, incubating microbes, looking perfectly well, flying clear around the world, and then you have spread.
The most terrifying recent example of this was severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, an outbreak that first appeared in the southern Chinese province of Guangdong in November 2002. Within weeks, it emerged in Hong Kong, where thousands developed mysterious pneumonia-like symptoms that spread rapidly from person to person through casual contact.
The virus got out into the community and became very effective at transmitting itself between humans.
Initially, the Chinese government downplayed the SARS outbreak, so no one was prepared when suddenly the virus appeared in Toronto and quickly travelled to 26 countries around the world. And it all started with one unsuspecting airplane passenger.
Soldiers supervise the distribution of subsidized rice in Manila. One of the world's biggest rice importers, the Philippines is grappling with tight supplies and record global prices. That's prompted fears of violent unrest among poorer locals, feeling the effects more and more.
It's hard to scrimp on the children. It's okay if my husband and I eat less, but not them. They're still young. They have to eat properly.
One major problem for importers stems from traditional suppliers such as Vietnam and India clamping down on exports. India recently banned the export of non-basmati rice to ensure the country had enough to feed its population of more than 1 billion people. Supply shortages have heightened food security fears right across Asia, where rice is a dietary staple for an estimated 3 billion people.
And Chinese authorities have arrested dozens of Christians who were planning a public prayer session in Beijing on Sunday. The arrests come as authorities intensify their crackdown on all kinds of dissent nationwide.
Christians planning to have an open-air service in Beijing on Sunday arrived to find the area barricaded by police. The police then took them away in buses. The members of the Shouwang Church, a Protestant group with about 1,000 members, say they had attempted to have an outdoor service because authorities had forced them out of their rented premises. They are among more than 40 million Protestant Christians in China. Many of them choose so-called underground churches over the official churches that are controlled by the Chinese regime. But that choice comes at a price, with authorities regularly shutting down their activities and arresting their members.
Google's thrown down a challenge to the Chinese government by moving its Chinese search engine from the mainland to Hong Kong. The two have been on a collision course for months, with China insisting Google censor its own service. As ITV's John Ray reports, Google is effectively saying, shut us down if you dare.
The biggest name on the web, the world's biggest nation, and a mighty test of strength.
We wanted to end censorship in China, and the Chinese government made it very clear that that wouldn't be possible within the law. So we moved the service to Hong Kong in order to give the service to the maximum number of people in China. Of course, it does remain a possibility that that service will be blocked by the Chinese authority.
China has nearly 400 million internet users and powerful controls over what they can see. For many, the web is no game. It's a rare lifeline to the outside world.
The internet is very, very important.
Zheng Jinyan is the wife of a jailed dissident. She lives a few miles from our office, but this is the only way we can speak to her.
Everything is under watch, so it's very dangerous for my friends to see me.
When we went to her home to deliver an innocent package, we were stopped by police who tried to detain us.
Pardon me. Don't touch me. It's only when you see the level of physical security that Chinese dissidents have to live under that you appreciate the importance of the internet here and why the authorities are so keen to control it.
China insists Google should play by China's rules, censor and all. But Google is only one of a number of internet phenomena which in the West are household names, but in China are banned in every household. And if Google's next for the exit, then add another brick to the great firewall of China.